Exact moment, the reality surrounding you is undergoing a massive reconfiguration. This is not a metaphor, nor is it a simple exercise in positive thinking. It is a literal alteration in the structural events that compose your life. Imagine the scene vividly. Your phone vibrates against the table, or perhaps your computer emits a subtle, familiar chime. It is a notification. At first glance, it seems trivial, just another piece of noise in the digital chaos that surrounds us. But as your eyes focus on the screen, time seems to freeze. The air leaves your lungs in a sharp intake. It is not a text message, and it is not a work email. It is a banking notification. A transfer has been completed. The value staring back at you challenges your current logic. It is a colossal sum, a fortune capable of resolving the past and financing the future in a single stroke. The sender is unknown, a stranger. The system has accepted it, and the money is there, pulsing with an energy that feels both electric and terrifying. But stop. Do not move. Before you touch that money, before the euphoria or the panic takes the wheel, you must understand what is happening behind the curtains of the universe. As the great mystics have taught us, nothing happens by chance. Chance is merely the name we give to a law we do not yet recognize. This stranger is not a glitch in the banking system. This stranger is a messenger, an actor in the drama your own consciousness has scripted. They are, in truth, you pushed out. The critical question, the one that defines whether this fortune remains as a foundation or evaporates like mist in the morning sun, is simply this: are you prepared for the test that accompanies the deposit? This specific moment of receiving is where most people falter, because their internal container is not strong enough to hold such high-voltage energy. This is why I constantly emphasize the importance of the framework found in The 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life. This trilogy is not just a collection of books, it is a practical map designed specifically for the chosen to awaken to who they really are, to heal the invisible locks that repel wealth, and to expand with stability. It teaches you how to receive, sustain, and multiply without a shadow of guilt. Whether you choose to read the ebooks or absorb the wisdom through the audiobooks, this trilogy provides the grounding you need, so that when the abundance hits, you do not collapse under its weight. You can find the link elegantly placed in the pinned comment or the description below. If this resonates, I encourage you to explore it, as these tools are often available for a limited window to ensure they reach the right hands. Now, let us return to that screen and that notification. You must realize that this video is not merely about currency. It is about your capacity to sustain the frequency of abundance when it arrives abruptly and illogically. The majority of people, those who walk through life asleep, would reject this immediately. Their subconscious mind would scream fraud, error, I do not deserve this, or this will bring me trouble. Because imagination creates reality, that fear would manifest. The money would disappear as mysteriously as it arrived, or worse, it would bring chaos and legal entanglements. But you are here because your silent battles have been witnessed. Those nights you cried without making a sound, the sacrifices you made without expecting applause, the faith you held when reality showed you nothing but scarcity. All of that generated a vacuum. You created a psychic pressure that the universe is now obligated to fill. The law of compensation, as Emerson understood it, is absolute. The stranger is merely the vehicle of delivery. If you are beginning to understand that your past struggles were actually an investment account that is now maturing, take a moment to click the like button. It signals to the algorithm, and more importantly to your own subconscious, that you are ready to claim this narrative. The test, therefore, is one of nervous system regulation. Can you look at that sum and feel it is natural? Neville Goddard taught us that we must occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. If you look at that notification and feel shock, you are telling the universe that this does not belong to you. Shock implies that it is alien, that it is an anomaly. To pass the test, you must shift from shock to gratitude, and then to a calm acceptance. You must look at that stranger's name and realize they are an agent of God or the universe balancing the scales. You must say to yourself, of course, I have been waiting for this. It is done. This requires a suspension of your old logical framework. Your old self asks, who is this person? Why did they send it? Your new self, the chosen self, knows that the who is irrelevant because the source is always the same. The source is your own consciousness reflecting back the abundance you have finally allowed yourself to feel. If you panic and call the bank to report an error, you are rejecting your own harvest. You are telling the universe, I am not the person who receives miracles. And the universe, in its infinite compliance, will agree with you and take it away. However, there is a nuance here that we must explore, a subtle trap that often catches the chosen off guard even after they have accepted the gift. It is the feeling of debt. When a stranger gives us something, our social conditioning screams that we owe them something in return. This is the transactional nature of the 3D world. But in the realm of spirit, this transaction has already occurred. You paid for this fortune with your resilience. You paid for it with your unwavering belief in the face of contradictory evidence. This money is not a loan, it is a settlement. If you can hold this frequency, if you can stare at that number and feel your heart rate slow down rather than speed up, you anchor the timeline. The money ceases to be a glitch and becomes your new baseline. And once that baseline is established, the stranger may reach out, not to demand it back, but to offer you something even greater, a partnership, a revelation, or a connection that explains the mystery in a way that satisfies the mind. But that second phase can only happen if you survive the first phase, the arrival. You must be the calm in the storm of your own blessings. And as you stand there, holding this new reality, you realize that the money was never the final destination, but merely a key unlocking a door you didn't even know was closed, leading to a corridor where the rules of physics seem to bend even further in your favor. This corridor is not a place of darkness, but a space of blinding neutrality, where your previous definitions of cause and effect are suspended. As you walk this path, holding the frequency of the wish fulfilled, you will notice that the environment around you begins to respond with a speed that can be disorienting. This is the phenomenon of accelerated manifestation, and it is the direct result of removing the resistance of the old self. When you stop questioning the stranger, when you stop interrogating the blessing, you remove the friction from the wires of your reality. The signal travels cleanly, and the feedback loop tightens. However, this new speed brings with it a specific danger that we must address immediately, for it is the primary reason why lottery winners return to poverty and why spiritual seekers often crash after a peak experience. It is the lack of a structural container for the new energy. You are effectively upgrading the voltage of your life. But if the wiring of your daily habits and your internal dialogue remains rated for the old voltage, you will blow a fuse. This is where the real work begins. It is not about manifesting more. It is about stabilizing what has arrived so that it does not destroy the vessel that received it. Most people are praying for rain while living in a house with no roof. When the rain comes, as they asked, it ruins everything they own because they were not prepared for the reception of the blessing, only the fantasy of it. To build this roof, to reinforce your walls, and to ensure that this new timeline hardens into a permanent reality rather than a fleeting glimpse, you need a very specific architectural plan for your internal world. This is why I have structured the 3 keys to a prosperous life. It is not merely a collection of ideas, it is the blueprint for this stabilization process. It is a trilogy designed to walk you through the dismantling of the poverty architecture and the construction of a fortress of abundance. This is the map for the chosen who are ready to awaken to who they really are, to heal the invisible traumas that repel wealth, and to expand with a stability that allows them to receive, sustain, and multiply their blessings without the crushing weight of guilt. Whether you choose the ebook to study the text or the audiobook to let these truths seep into your subconscious while you move through your day, this tool is the bridge between the flash of a miracle and the permanence of a lifestyle. If you feel that pull, that resonance telling you it is time to stop guessing and start building, you can find the link in the pinned comment or description below. This offer is available for a limited time to ensure we are gathering a dedicated cohort of builders. Now, as we return to the corridor, we must examine the first symptom of your new voltage, the Great Silence. Often, after a significant manifestation or a shift in consciousness, the external world does not immediately explode with fireworks. Instead, it goes quiet. Your phone stops ringing. The drama that usually consumes your family dynamic suddenly pauses. Friends you used to complain with seem distant or busy. This silence is often misinterpreted by the chosen as a mistake. You might think, I did the work, I accepted the blessing, so where is the parade? But the silence is not an error, it is a quarantine. The universe is isolating you from the contagion of your old frequency to allow the new seed to take root. Think of a computer undergoing a massive operating system update. It does not run programs during the installation. It goes black. It restarts. It processes in the background. If you were to panic and force a reboot during this silence, you would corrupt the data. In your life, this silence is the space where your nervous system is recalibrating to the new baseline of peace. You are so accustomed to the noise of struggle, the adrenaline of how will I pay this, or what did they mean by that peace feels suspicious. It feels boring, and the addiction to chaos is a powerful force. Your body, chemically addicted to the peptides of stress, will try to manufacture a crisis just to feel normal again. If you are recognizing this pattern of self-manufactured chaos in your own history, consider subscribing to the channel. It is a small action that aligns your digital environment with the voice of clarity, ensuring you are constantly reminded of the path when the noise of the world tries to pull you back. This chemical addiction to struggle is why the stranger's gift is so dangerous to the unprepared mind. If you do not have a crisis to solve, your ego loses its job description. The ego knows itself as the solver of problems. If you take away the problems, the ego feels threatened with death. So, in the silence of this new corridor, your ego will start scanning the horizon for a threat. It will say, this is too good to be true, or the other shoe is about to drop. It will try to convince you that the silence is actually the calm before a storm, rather than the peace of the promised land. Your task in this phase is to starve the addiction. You must sit in the silence and refuse to fill it. You must look at the bank account, the relationship, or the opportunity, and refuse to add a narrative of fear to it. You must practice the art of boring success. Real wealth, spiritual and material, is remarkably quiet. It does not scream, it hums. It is a low, steady frequency of assurance. When you can sit in an empty room with your needs met and feel a sense of thrill rather than a twitch of anxiety, you have conquered the chemical past. You have upgraded the hardware. As you stabilize in this silence, a second phenomenon will occur, the great removal. The corridor you are walking is narrow, and it does not accommodate baggage. As your frequency rises to match the wish fulfilled, anything in your life that is vibrating at the frequency of the wish denied will become heavy. It will become intolerable. This applies to people, jobs, habits, and even physical objects in your home. You may find that you can no longer tolerate the conversation of a specific friend. It's not that they have changed, it's that you have. Their conversation is built on the architecture of victimhood, a structure you have just demolished. Trying to engage with it feels like trying to wear shoes that are 2 sizes too small. It is not just uncomfortable, it is damaging. This is often the most painful part of the chosen's journey because we are conditioned to view loyalty as suffering. We think that to be a good person, we must lower our frequency to match those around us. We dim our light so it doesn't hurt their eyes. But in this corridor where physics bends, you realize that dimming your light is an act of violence against the Creator. You were given this expansion not to hide it, but to embody it. When people begin to fall away from your life, do not chase them. Do not try to explain your new reality to them, for they are listening with old ears. You cannot explain color to a man who refuses to open his eyes. Let them go with love. Bless them on their own journey, but understand that their absence is creating the vacuum that will be filled by your new soul tribe. People who do not need you to be small in order for them to feel big. If this speaks to the shifts you are currently experiencing in your social circle, take a moment to like this video. It serves as a digital affirmation that you are willing to let go of the old to make room for the new, signaling to the algorithm of your life that you are ready for the upgrade. There is a metaphysical mechanism at play here, which we call the vacuum law of prosperity. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you create space by releasing a toxic relationship, clearing out clutter, or letting go of a limiting belief, the universe is compelled by physical law to fill that space. However, the quality of what fills the space is determined by the frequency of the container. If you clear the space with fear, "I'm going to be alone forever," you fill it with desperation. If you clear the space with faith, "I'm making room for those who match my destiny," you fill it with gold. The stranger who sent you the money was simply the universe filling a vacuum you created when you finally stopped obsessing over the lack of money. You let go of the grip and the hand was free to receive. Now let us deepen the understanding of the stranger. In the previous stage, we identified them as an agent of the universe. But in the advanced stages of the corridor, you will come to a startling realization. The stranger is you. This is a concept that requires a pliable mind. In the quantum field, there is no separation. There is only one consciousness experiencing itself through billions of apertures. When you elevated your state of being, when you truly felt wealthy before the evidence arrived, you exerted a pull on the entire web of consciousness. You, from your living room, influenced the subconscious mind of another human being miles away. You planted the impulse in them to give. You orchestrated your own rescue through the vessel of another. This realization destroys the concept of luck and replaces it with responsibility. If you are powerful enough to summon a stranger to bless you, you are also powerful enough to summon a stranger to harm you. Your inner state is not a private diary. It is a broadcast signal that overrides the free will of the unawakened. Those who are asleep at the wheel of their own lives are easily commandeered by the strong intentions of those who are awake. This is why the chosen must be masters of their own minds. You are not just thinking for yourself, you are thinking for your world. Your anxiety is a command to the universe to bring you things to be anxious about. Your gratitude is a command to bring you things to be grateful for. The stranger had no choice but to act, because your script required a character to deliver the funds. This brings us to the concept of scripting the timeline. If you acknowledge that you are the writer, the director, and the protagonist, how do you write the next scene? You do not write it with words. You write it with assumptions. Neville Goddard's law of assumption states that an assumption, though false if persisted in, will harden into fact. Most people use this law unconsciously to destroy themselves. They assume they will be fired. They assume they will get sick. They assume they are unlovable. And because they persist in these assumptions, the universe casts the actors to prove them right. To navigate the corridor, you must consciously select your assumptions. You must assume that the money you received is the seed of a dynasty, not a lucky break. You must assume that your health is robust, even if you feel tired. You must assume that you are favored. This is not delusion, this is pre-production. You are building the set before the cameras roll. Let us practice a micro adjustment of assumption right now. Look at a problem you are currently facing. Maybe it is a legal issue, a health concern, or a family dispute. Now shift your assumption from "I hope this works out" to "I remember when this was resolved." Notice the tense, "I remember when." You are placing yourself in a future where it is already a memory. You are looking back at the problem from the vantage point of the solution. How does your body feel in that future? Is your jaw unclenched? Is your breathing deep? That physical sensation is the ink with which you write the script. If you are ready to take the pen back from the hands of fear and write your own chapter, share this content with someone who needs to be reminded of their power. When you share wisdom, you reinforce it in yourself. It is the law of circulation. As you practice this future memory, you will encounter the time lag. This is the delay between the assumption and the hardening into fact. This is the valley where most lose their way. They assume the state of wealth for 3 days, see no change in their bank account and say, "It doesn't work." They dig up the seed to see if it is growing, thereby killing it. The time lag is necessary. It is the buffer that prevents your momentary negative thoughts from manifesting instantly. Imagine if every fleeting fear you had became reality instantly. You would destroy yourself in an hour. The time lag is a mercy. It gives you a grace period to cancel the negative and reinforce the positive. When you are in the time lag and the external world contradicts your inner assumption, you must engage in double vision. You see the empty bank account with your physical eyes, but you see the overflowing vault with your spiritual eyes, and you grant more authority to the spiritual eye. This is the definition of faith. It is not blind, it is simply looking at a superior dimension. You walk through the physical lack without reacting to it, knowing it is merely the echo of a past shout. It is a dead star that is still shining but no longer exists at the source. The money from the stranger was a breakthrough because for a moment you suspended your disbelief. Now to make it a permanent state, you must suspend your disbelief permanently. You must become a person who is unimpressed by the facts of the 3D world because you know those facts are fluid. They are malleable clay in the hands of the potter, and you are the potter. But there is a subtle trap in the potter's mind, the trap of how. The human intellect is obsessed with the mechanics of delivery. How will I become a millionaire? Will it be the lottery, a business, an inheritance? When you obsess over the how, you constrict the infinite channels of the universe into a single narrow pipe. If you decide the money must come from a promotion, you block the stranger with the gift. You block the investment return. You block the unexpected refund. You must relinquish the how completely. The how is the domain of the universe. The what is the domain of the chosen. Your job is to define the what, the feeling of security, the freedom, the ability to give, and then stand back and let the universe dazzle you with its ingenuity. The stranger was a creative solution you could never have planned. If you had tried to plan it, you would have failed. You must trust the superior intelligence to handle the logistics. Your only responsibility is the destination. The universe handles the route. As you deepen this trust, you will begin to notice synchronicities. These are the winks from the universe. You think of a book and someone mentions it. You need a specific tool and you find it on the street. These are not coincidences, they are breadcrumbs. They are feedback mechanisms telling you that you are on the right frequency. When you see a synchronicity, acknowledge it. Say, "I see you, thank you." This positive reinforcement encourages the universe to send more. It is like training a muscle. The more you acknowledge the connection, the stronger it becomes. However, be warned, the ego will try to dismiss these signs. It will call them random. It will try to pull you back into the cold, hard logic of the materialist view. This is the battle for your soul. It is a battle between the part of you that wants to be a victim of circumstance and the part of you that knows you are the creator of circumstance. Every time you dismiss a synchronicity, you vote for the victim. Every time you celebrate one, You vote for the Creator. Now let us address the physical sensation of this expansion. As you hold more light, more power, and more wealth consciousness, your physical body may go through ascension symptoms. You might feel sudden fatigue as your body integrates the new energy. You might experience changes in appetite or sleep patterns. Do not medicalize every symptom, though always use common sense. Understand that your biology is dense matter, trying to keep up with a rapid shift in frequency. Be gentle with your vessel. Drink water. Rest. Do not force the old pace upon the new body. You are undergoing a metamorphosis, and the caterpillar does not become a butterfly by rushing the cocoon. There is a specific vibration of urgency that kills manifestation. Urgency implies lack. It implies that I need it now because I don't have it. This vibration pushes the desire away. The stranger's gift came when you were likely distracted or at a breaking point of surrender. It came when the grip was loose. To maintain the flow, you must cultivate a state of active patience. This is not the patience of waiting. It is the patience of knowing. It is the feeling of ordering a meal at a restaurant. You do not storm the kitchen every 5 minutes to ask if the chef is cooking. You sit, you drink your wine, you talk with friends, knowing the meal is being prepared. You enjoy the wait because the outcome is guaranteed. Can you look at your life with that level of certainty? Can you look at your debts, your loneliness, or your confusion, and sit back with the confidence of a diner who knows the feast is coming? This is the ultimate test of the nervous system. The stranger was just the appetizer. The main course is a life where you never again worry about supply. But to sit at that table, you must have the manners of a king, not a beggar. A beggar grasps, a king accepts, a beggar worries, a king commands. And as you sit in this command, you will realize that the money, the relationships, the health, they are all secondary. The primary prize is the person you became in the process. You became someone who mastered their own mind. You became someone who could look at a storm and command peace. You became a sanctuary, and once you are a sanctuary, abundance rushes in, not to save you, but to be safe with you. Money wants to be where it is safe. It flees from anxiety and settles in gratitude. You have become a safe harbor for the energy of God. But what happens when the harbor is full? What happens when you have received more than you can personally consume? This introduces the final and most critical phase of the corridor, the outflow. The Dead Sea is dead because it receives water but has no outlet. It takes, and the water becomes stagnant and salty. The Sea of Galilee receives the same water but flows it out, and it is teeming with life. You must be the Sea of Galilee. As the blessings pour in, you must create channels for them to pour out. This does not always mean giving away money, though that is part of it. It means flowing out kindness, flowing out wisdom, flowing out opportunities for others. If you hoard the blessing, it turns into a curse. It stagnates. The flow must be continuous. The stranger gave to you, and the circuit was completed. Now you must become the stranger for someone else, not out of obligation, but out of the overflow of your own cup. When you give from a place of, I have so much I must share, you signal to the universe that your cup is overflowing, and the universe rushes to keep it full. If you give from a place of, I should give, but I'm scared I'll run out, you signal lack, and the flow stops. This is the delicate balance of the sacred economy. It operates on different laws than Wall Street. In the sacred economy, what you keep is lost, and what you give is multiplied, but only if the intention is pure. You cannot bargain with God. You cannot say, I will give this away so I can get more. That is a transaction. You must give because it is your nature to be generous, because you are made in the image of the great giver. As we reach the end of this segment of the journey, I want you to close your eyes for a moment, if it is safe to do so, and visualize the corridor stretching out before you. It is no longer dark. It is lined with doors, and each door represents a potentiality. One door is the business, one is the partner, one is the adventure. They are all unlocked. You hold the master key, which is your own vibration. You are no longer the victim of the stranger's whim. You are the architect of the encounter. The test of the nervous system is ongoing. Every day offers a new exam, a rude email, a late bill, a disappointment. Each of these is a question asked by reality. Who are you now? Are you the old self who reacts, or the new self who observes? Answer wisely, for your answer determines tomorrow's scene. And remember, the stranger is still out there. In fact, there are legions of them. They are holding contracts, keys, checks, and opportunities with your name on them. They are wandering the field of potentiality, looking for the signal that guides them to your doorstep. That signal is your joy. That signal is your calm. That signal is your unwavering belief that you are worthy of the kingdom. Keep the signal clear. Keep the roof strong. And watch as the corridor opens up into a vast, limitless horizon, where the only boundary is the one you choose to draw. But even in this vastness, there remains a hidden variable, a shadow element that often emerges just when the chosen believes they have mastered the light. This shadow,